Hello, my name is Alexandria Reyes, and today I'm going to be going over the pathway to CPA for you for the state of Washington. Before we get started, I'm going to introduce myself, kind of give you a little bit about my background, and then we'll dive in. So, as I said, my name is Alex Reyes. I am an account manager for Becker. I cover mostly Northern California, but I also cover Oregon and then a little bit of Washington and a little bit of Nevada. So I kind of know all those states a little bit. So if you guys ever have any questions, we have Becker reps all over the country. So we're more than happy to answer questions if you have something in addition to Washington or outside of Washington. Also, I am I was an accounting student at Chico State here in California. I then went into public accounting for almost 5 years, and then Becker took me back because I was a campus ambassador for them when I was in college, which I loved and adored. And I went straight into tax, mostly worked on partnerships, studied for my exams, lost some credits because of the pandemic and all that. Now I'm studying again. So I've been around the block. I've seen, I've taken the exams of Prometric, I've been through the application process, well, here in California, but gone through NASBA, all that good stuff. So hopefully I can help you guys and kind of walk through the process, give you guys some helpful tips today. But I'll have all my information here at the end of the presentation. So please feel free to contact me if you have any additional questions. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump in. All right, so we're going to go over the pathway to CPA today. So steps to becoming a CPA. So there's 5 steps. I'm going to go through these pretty quickly, but I will go through them more in depth as we go on through the presentation. Step 1 is meeting the educational requirements. You guys are all doing that right now, being in college, so you're on a good track. Step 2, apply to take the CPA exam. So you're going to submit your application. So in Washington, you're going to apply through NASBA. I'm in California, so I applied through my state board. So depending on where you're going to get licensed, that's where you're going to have to look to see where you're going to submit your application. But again, we'll talk about a little bit more of that in depth here in a second. Step 3, studying for the exam. Choose your exam review course provider. I'm here today from Becker, so I believe in Becker. I believe we have the best products. I just believe in them. But there's other course review providers out there, so pick the best that's best for you. Or if you go to like one of the bigger firms like Big Four, Moz, one of those, they will be paying for your review course provider, so it probably will be Becker. And then create your study plan and then study. Step 3 is the most important part and the hardest part. I can tell you from experience that your study plan and studying, that will be your downfall or your greatest achievement, right? So that was my biggest downfall when I was studying. I didn't stick to my study plan. So please study. I know it's going to be hard, but once you do, you're going to have those 3 letters after your name. It's going to be so worth it. Step 4, schedule your exam. So you're going to receive your notice schedule. I like to think of this as the golden ticket. We'll talk a little bit more about that and why I say this. And then schedule your exam with Prometric Testing Center. Step 5, yay, you've taken the exam, you've passed all 4, now you got to take an ethics exam issued by the AICPA. Don't worry, guys, it's a written take-home exam. You just have to be ethical and you'll get through it. It's not that bad, I promise. Obtain your work experience. So this can be done. A lot of students don't count their internship hours because you'll probably get this within the first 2 years, of working in public, but those internship hours do count. So please get that signed off by, the CPA you're working under and get all the hours you can. And then apply for licensure. So you're going to apply for licensure in the state that you want to become a CPA. Okay, so meeting the educational requirements. So today we're going to be looking at Washington. So 150 semester hours is needed to sit, 225 quarter hours. That little asterisk is 180-day eligibility rule. So you guys can sit 180 days prior to meeting the eligibility sit credit hours, which is awesome. The earlier you can take the exam, the better. So you'll have to, furnish your official transcript 240 days after they come out. But I tell students the sooner you can take it, the better. Once you get in that public state of mind, you're going to be working, you're going to be learning so much, it's going to feel overwhelming. So if you can get a few of these exams out of the way before you even start, that's going to put you ahead of the game, keep your mind clear, and get you really ready for this big career change you're about to make. Required coursework. So you can see this is pretty universal. You're going to need 24 semester hours, 36 quarter hours of accounting hours, and the same for business hours. So, most schools that have a bachelor's degree in accounting, that's going to be pretty easy. It's the additional units that you will need to look for and review. And again, please feel free to contact me if you ever have questions about that, and I'll be happy to go over that. And then applying to sit. So I mentioned earlier that Washington, you're going to be applying through the NASBA's CPA exam online application system. So Washington is pretty lucky in that way. So for example, I am from California. So I have to apply through my state board, and then I have to pay them, and then they have to do all this stuff, and then I go to NASBA, pay my fees. That's where I get my NTS. Thankfully, in Washington, it's a one-stop shop. So you go to NASBA to apply, and then that's where you'll pay for your exams, choose your exams, get your notice schedule. So that's really awesome that it's all there for you. But if you're going to sit at one of your neighboring states, then you will probably have to apply through the state board. So that's going to be really dependent on where you want to get licensed. This is a universal CPA exam, meaning that it's the same in every state. The only difference is the state that you're getting a license in. So say you're in Washington right now, but you want to move to, for example, I had a student in Oregon. He wanted to move to New York. That's where he's going, right? Move to New York. So he was going to apply in New York, but he can sit in Oregon. As long as you have that notice of schedule, that's what's important. So, if I'm from California and I want to move to Washington, then I would apply through Washington, but I can sit in California if I'm here. So especially in this remote world, it's really important to know what office you're going to be working at, where it's most important for you to get licensed, and that's where you should apply. So for now, we're going to be focused on Washington, but again, if you have any other questions about any other states, please feel free to reach out to me. So again, NASBA, that's the National Association of State Boards of Accountancy. Every candidate will eventually end up here, no matter what state you are, because this is where you're going to pay for your exams and get your notice of schedule. But thankfully for Washington, you apply through NASBA, so there's no other in-between stops you have to make. It's straight here. So I included this little scan me code just in case you guys want to go in there, start applying if you're part of the eligibility rule. The sooner you can get in there, the sooner you can take your exams, the better. And then your notice of schedule, your NTS. So I mentioned earlier that this is the golden ticket, right? So you can see here, Washington, this is 6-month notice schedule validation period. So what that means is when you apply through Washington, once you get approved to sit, then they will ask you to pick the exams that you want to sit for. I always urge students, do not pick all 4 exams at once, especially in these, even in my state, especially though in the 6-month notice of schedule validation period. What that means is if you pay for all 4 parts, that means you have to sit for all 4 parts within 6 months. NASBA will not give you your money back. Once you pay for them, they're done. So once you get your NTS, it'll be here. This is the year-long schedule, but think of this 6 months, so it'd be June. That's unrealistic for a lot of people. I mean, if you can get all 4 done within 6 months, great, good for you. Even then, I would say maybe hold off, do like 2 at a time. So what that means is you can select 2, pay for 2, and then maybe like in a few months, select your next 2. And then you can get a new notice schedule with a new date for 6 months, right? That's the way I always approach it. Unless you're in a state with 12 months, I really urge students to only do 2 at a time, 1 at a time. So this notice schedule is your section ID. So the section ID is what you're going to need to go into prometric.com, look up the Unifor CPA platform, and then the section ID is what you need to actually schedule your exam in their system. And then also the launch code, which is the same exact number. Please do not show up to a Prometric testing center without this. The reason I say this is because that launch code is what you're going to need when you're sitting in Prometric at the computer, and it's going to ask you for your launch code to launch the actual exam. So please don't show up to to Prometric without this. I've seen students happen. They're scrambling to get it. Just have it printed out, ready for you in your car a couple days before, so you don't even have to think about it. Last thing you need to do before your exam is be stressed about something else. This is the least of your worries, right? You have it in your car, you're ready. And then another thing to take in consideration, I know I do when I'm studying, is the score release date. So the AICPA will release 4 score release dates per quarter. So right now they're still holding up on quarter 3, quarter 4 in 2022. Depending on when you watch this, it might be out, it might be not. But it's like pretty similar around the dates that they, just depending on the year of when they're going to do this. But for example, if I took my exam today, I wouldn't get it till May 10th. So it's like over a month, right? But if I took it at the end of April, then I would get it sooner. So a lot of students like to plan their exams around that, just in case, I never want to say this, but just in case you fail, then and if you're really close, you can retake it really quickly, right? So that's something to consider when you're looking at score release dates, or if you're someone that just wants to know sooner rather than later, then this is the thing for you, right? Like June 8th to 16th, that's 8 days. It's only a week. That's not that bad. And unlike if you took it May 17th, that's a month, right? So think about that. You can think about that when you're studying and you're going to actually schedule your exam. So schedule your exam, Prometric. So Prometric Testing Center is where it's a host for the CPA candidates. Please know that it's a host for not only CPA candidates, it's a host for other candidates as well. CMA, other testing candidates. So they do get filled up fast. I can't speak for Washington, but I know in California, even Portland, they get filled up so fast. So please take that into consideration. Get a date. As soon as you can get your date, schedule it. If you reschedule or cancel it, that will cost you some money depending on when you do that. It gets more expensive the date gets closer. But the sooner you can schedule your exam, the better. So please think about that because they will get filled up fast. And then there are 4 parts to the exam. So right now we're going to see audit. So that's your like auditing class. It's 80 to 100 hours of study time. And then FAR, financial, this is the beast of all of them, 130, 150 hours expected study time. That's minimum study time. That's a foundation of intermediate, your advanced accounting classes. Also, in addition to that is your non-for-profit and government classes. So if you're able to take a non-for-profit or governmental accounting class, please do so because this will help you have a leg up on this exam. I can tell you when I was studying, I never took any of those classes, so it was all learning for me right away, right? So think about that. Business, BEC. So this is the cost accounting, but then in addition to that, it's like everything else we learned in business school, your economics, IT, operations management. So this is kind of like the catch-all for everything else that's not accounting and cost. And then regulation. So this is your tax exam. You have your individual and business tax. Also, you have a little bit of business law and ethics in this exam. And then what to expect on exam day. So when you show up to Prometric Testing Center, I'll say it again, please have a copy of your notice to schedule. You will also need a valid ID. When you get to Prometric Testing Center, you will place your personal items in a locker, and they'll give you like a little key for you to have with you. You're not allowed to take anything with you into the testing center. No water, nothing. You are only going to give you that key, and that's what you're going to have, and your glasses. And if you wear glasses, that's it. I wear glasses, so that's why I mentioned it. You will scan your fingerprints and do a metal detector scan. When I was a student, I thought this was a lie. I'm like, I'm just going in there to take an exam. No, it's true. They are really strict on things. So you can't wear watches, bracelets, anything. They make you take off your glasses to inspect it, make sure there's nothing on there. If you have sleeves on, they make you roll up your sleeves. I wore yoga pants one time and they had me lift up my shirt and make sure I had no pockets on top. And then if I one time I wore pants, so I had to pull up my pants, show them my ankles, make sure I had nothing. I mean, it's very thorough, but again, we're all in a even playing field, right? So they want to make sure no one's cheating, and that's awesome. So, but it is very strict in there. So just remember that when you're going in. Some more study tips. So make sure you have directions to the right Prometric Testing Center. Again, I know I keep speaking of this, but it's where I live. I live in California, and we do have a lot of testing centers here. So we have to know exactly which one we're going to. We did have a candidate that went to the wrong one. Don't do that. Just know where you're going. I know the night before my exam, mine was pretty close, 15 minutes. So I drove to it just before, just to see where it was, you can do a test drive prior to this. to your test, so you can always call Prometric. They can walk you through the process of what to expect on exam day. I've never done this, but if this will help ease your mind, please do so. And then plan to arrive at least 30 minutes prior to your appointment. This is so important. So each exam is 4 hours. If you arrive in the way that my testing center does it is they have one exam start at 9, and then like other testing camps will come in at like 1:30. So if I'm late, they're not going to hold up that person. They're going to cut into my 4-hour time because it was my fault that I was late, right? So please arrive at least 30 minutes prior to your appointment so that doesn't happen to you. The last thing you need to worry about the day of this huge exam is being late, right? So I plan to arrive early, have some water, drink some coffee, whatever you need, and have a clear space mind and go into that exam. And then dress comfortably. So I try to wear pants with like no pockets and a sweater, and I bring in like like a sweater with barely any pockets as well, right? I don't want to have them check all the time. So just think about that. And preparation is key to success. And then CPA Evolution. So I don't know if any of you heard, but in 2024, we are evolving the CPA license. So CPA exam. So we are going to still have the core 3 exams: accounting, audit, and tax. So tax is basically regulation, and accounting is basically FAR, and audit's audit. But the one that's going away is business. So this is not going to be a core compliance exam based on 3 that you can pick from. So it can be tax compliance and planning, business reporting and analysis, and information systems and controls. So they are making this more aligned with our industry and what you see out in the world when you're working. So this is something to think about if you're coming up on that 2023 grad day. This is something you should be thinking about how to approach this and what's next for you. And then the transition policy for 2024. So a lot of students ask, what is the best way to take this exam? Usually we would say FAR, and then audit, and then reg, and then BEC. The reason we always said FAR first because it's the hardest. So if you can get that beast out of the way, then your 18th month rule will start. And then audit, because audit, a lot of things you see in audit you would have seen in FAR, and then reg, because that's like the 3rd hardest, and then BEC, because that's like the easiest of the 4. Easiest in quotation marks, it's still a CPA exam, still a very tough exam. Now that this transition policy is coming up and we're getting closer and closer to it, we are urging students, if they can, take BEC first. And why do we say this? Is because we've been around the block with BEC. Becker had, all the review courses have. We've seen it. AI CPA has issued us. They don't issue questions to us until they're done with them. So we have plenty of old questions, and they're pretty similar to the ones you see on the exam. So we know what's on BEC. So if you take BEC before January 1st, 2024, that will count for one of the core or the disciplines. So you won't have to take one of these new exams. So you'll be done with BEC, you'll have that one out of the way, and you won't have to worry about those new exams. Now, Becker is preparing for the new exams, but it is going to be a learning curve for everybody, including the AI CPA, right? It's going to be a learning curve. So if you can get BEC out of the way, please do so. Audit, FAR, and reg will count towards your core auditing, accounting, and the tax exam. So any exam you take will count towards the equivalent of that one that you have a section credit for. I know a lot of students were worried about that, but if they're going to work with you, they have issued this statement now, so it's good to go. So please be mindful of this. So I'm here today from Becker. So I'm going to talk a little bit about Becker. So Becker is the leader in CPA exam prep for over 60 years. We have over 1 million candidates prepared with Becker. We are aligned with the top 100 accounting firms. So what that means is, any Big Four you go to, Moss, Grant Thornton, a lot of those bigger firms, you're going to probably be studying with Becker. They believe in us. They believe in our products. So they believe that their candidates will be best suited when studying with Becker. We have 90% of the Watt-Sells Award winners. So what is the Watt-Sells Award? The Watt-Sells Award, if you get a 95 cumulative average on all 4 exams on your first try. So that's very difficult to do, but we do have 90% of the Watt-Sells Award, and it's such a great accomplishment. So if you're someone that really wants to do that, please by all means do this. But we do have a lot of those winners. And then we are aligned with 2,900 accounting firms, corporations, alliances, universities that have chosen Becker. So we do have a lot of candidates that prepare with us. I am one of those included, and I believe that we do have a lot of the assets to help you succeed at this exam. And then we have some, these are our review packages. So depending on, where you are, how long you want it, what firm you're going to, that's going to really be based on kind of what you're going to be looking at. So I know a lot of firms like to go with the 24-month access because you need to pass all 4 exams. It's going to take 18 months, right? So 24 months should be plenty of time. But we also have other additions that you might want to add on to that, or buy the premium one or the pro. Depending on kind of where you are, if you need, if you want some one-on-one academic tutoring, if you want a live classroom scheduling option, I'm actually going to start a live classroom tonight when I'm recording this for you guys. So I hope that I can give you guys some real life experience on how that's going the next time I ever talk to you. Oh, live online scheduling option. That's what I'm doing, not live classroom. Unfortunately, we don't have that in California, but hopefully I can give you guys some insight on how that went for me. And then just some other Becker exclusive items. So we have the exam day ready. So this is brand new, and I love this. So I can tell you from experience, when I was studying for FAR, I cannot tell you what happened in F1 by the time I was in F7. So now we have changed that. We used to have 3 simulated exams at the end, so 3 4-hour exams. Now we only have 2, but we have mini exams in between a few chapters. So what that means is I like to think of these as midterms, right? So when you're going through a class, they'll really focus in on those 4 chapters with brand new simulations, brand new multiple choice questions, and really hone in on those hot topics to ensure you that you're exam day ready. Excuse me. To be exam day ready, you're going to need to at least watch 80% of the lectures and do at least 80% of your practice questions, including their multiple choice questions and task-based simulations. To score at least 50% in your Becker's exclusive, and then score at least 50% on your mini exams and your simulated exams. People are always like, how is 50% ready for exam day ready? But there is something called the Becker bump. So if you guys haven't heard of this, it's very true. I can tell you from experience. So the Becker bump is, we try to make our tests a little bit tougher, right? We want to make sure you are ready for this exam when you go in, that hopefully there's nothing that you haven't seen before. So for example, when I went and took BEC, I got like a 65% on my simulated exam. On my actual exam, I got like an 81. So that's a big jump. So there's that bump. It's like a 15-point bump, it's like 10 to 15-point bump, right? So that's why they say like at least 50%, and we believe that you can get through this. Obviously, if you want to try to, you can go as high as you want, the higher the better. But I know a lot of students are like, 50% doesn't seem like a lot, but it is, in the sense that you're seeing new questions, you're getting through the question. This is all learning. This is not the exam, right? This is going to help you get ready for that exam. And then Skill Master videos. So when they launched this, I was the most excited candidate. They launched this before I was even a Becker employee, so I can tell you that I absolutely love this. So Skill Master videos. So there are task-based simulations in the software, and there's going to be task-based simulations on the exam. They're basically like big word problems. So, for example, if you're going through like a FAR, they'll have you like do a multiple step like income statement, and then you'll have to prepare that. And then we do have this show solution button at the bottom, and that will show you what you got wrong and what you did right and explain it a little bit. But for me, I like to have somebody that actually explains that concept for me, right? So what all our task-based simulations have in our software is one of our awesome instructors. This is Mike Brown, one of the best instructors we have on our platform, and he will go through step by step with you on how to attack each task-based simulation, and also how to like utilize what you have at your disposal, including the calculator, including Excel. On the real exam, you do get to use the real Excel, so please do that when you're studying. and just basically how to come in at this. So when you see something like this on the exam, you're not totally scared, you haven't seen it before, and hopefully you have that little instructor in your mind telling you kind of how to go through this, so you're not so worried and stressed about it. So for me, the Skillmaster videos are amazing. I love them so much, and we have so many, over 400 examples covered here in our software. And we also have simulated exams. I need to change this. We only have 2 now, because I mentioned that earlier. We used to have 3, but now we have 2 because we have mini exams. So our task-based simulations are identical to the exams. I can tell you I've sat on Prometric and I've sat on Becker's task-based simulation. They are identical. So it really helps you get ready for that real experience. So except for this spreadsheet thing. So Becker does not have the license with Microsoft Excel. So don't use this. Use the real Excel if you have it, because that's what you're going to be using on the day of the exam. So you see how the questions are aligned like this? That's how it's going to be on the AI CPA. This is the calculator that looks exactly like it's on the CPA exam. So please do that. Please do your simulated exam, because you would never just go run a marathon without practicing, right? This is a 4-hour exam. Most of us have not sat through a 4-hour exam before. So please practice. Go in the room, shut the door, no water, no nothing, no phone, and really hone in on this. And then we do have some flexible learning options. So we have our self-study live online classes, which I'm taking. So hopefully if I ever talk to you guys again, I'll be able to give you some of that experience. We have our live classes. So unfortunately, we don't have those right now for some of our states. Kind of COVID kind of took that down, but hopefully we will have them again. And then we do have mobile online mobile apps, so you can have your flashcards with you. You can do MCQs on the road. I know a lot of people love to use them for their flashcards, especially, so you can just flip through them if you're just hanging out. And then something I love to point out is a cool CPA. She's like a CPA influencer. She has made a cool study playlist with Becker, and I can tell you, I love it. So when I'm studying, I don't like to sit in silence. I like to have something playing in the background, but I can't have anything with words because that's too distracting for me. But this is an awesome playlist. It's like a cool jazz, kind of like you're in Starbucks. So please go, if you have Spotify, please go follow it and listen to it while you're studying. And then we do have a CPA exam review demo. So, there's plenty of exams out, exam review course providers out there. We all have 14-day trials. So please do that. Try all of them. We want you guys to pass this exam. I believe in Becker. And if you guys have any questions about Becker, please feel free to reach out and I will be able to show you that. And that's all for today. So hopefully I was able to help you learn a little more about the CPA, the CPA exam, the pathway to the CPA exam. And if you guys have any questions, please scan that QR code. It has my email. It has my calendar if you want to set up an appointment with me. There's also my email there on the screen. But I'm always here for any questions you guys might have. And I look forward to connecting with you in the future. Good luck. And again, Becker's always on your side, and I'm always here for you. Thank you.